Hey everybody, Scoutcrafter here again. It's Memorial Day, Monday. What a beautiful day, huh? And you know, Memorial Day always means a lot to me and always has. Let's go downstairs and then we got a few things to talk about on this Memorial Day Monday. Okay, we're back down the shop and like I said, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. And one thing I want to talk about, a good friend of mine who I was just on the phone with yesterday, one of my former scouts as a matter of fact, he's an aide to an assemblyman here in New York City, and I'll tell you, this is why you need a sense of humor. If you don't have a sense of humor, you're doomed in this lifetime. So he was telling me about some of the meetings they were having, and one of the meetings they were talking about that crime in the last couple months here in the city has spiked like 48%, okay? Now this is where it gets funny. It's crime is spiked, but incarcerations, people that they caught and locked up, has dropped by like 25%. So the mayor asked, they said, how come crime has gone up so much, but incarcerations have gone down? And the police captain or whatever said, because we can't identify the perpetrators because they're all wearing masks, right? This is where it gets good, right? So now the mayor's saying, well, we got to do something because, you know, elections are coming up and they're panicking because, you know, crime is out of control. And they're like, well, how do we get people to stop wearing masks? And the police commissioner said to him, he goes, just 3 weeks ago, you're asking, how do we get people to keep wearing masks? You cannot make this stuff up. So now they've created a monster. We have a lot. Remember years ago, if you went into a bank and you were wearing a mask, you would be on the floor in 2 seconds. They would never let you go up to a teller with a mask on. But now if you go into a bank without a mask, it's just the opposite. You'll be on the floor and you'll be like, you're the criminal for not wearing a mask. It's just bizarre, isn't it? Can you imagine what things are going to look like a few years from now with some of these people? They're just going to keep going with the program. Hey, what's up, Tom? How you doing? What? I can't hear you. Tom, you've been vaccinated, right?
Well,
What's with all the... Take off the mask. How many masks you got on? Can I borrow your hose? So like I said, you keep your sense of humor and you are well ahead of the game. Okay, next up, I want to talk about, I was just upstate, made a trip up, a couple things to talk about upstate. You know, the grass was growing. It was up there about 7, 8. Let me show you right now. And we're back upstate. What a beautiful day. Look at that. Can you see it? The only problem is two things. Number one, I had some mice get into my cabin and they had, I don't know if they had like a little mouse get together or a barbecue. They just ate up everything. I had some dried soup and stuff, just gone. Everything's gone and they had a blast in there and left nothing but a bunch of mouse turds. So we're cleaning that out now, but let me show you the grass. Okay, now it's only been, what's it been, not even 10 days? Look how high the grass is. Can you see that? I mean, it's good. It's about 7, 8 inches tall. See how quickly this stuff grows up here? We get a ton of rain up here in this area, and when it gets this tall, you can't go fast with the mower, so you have to go slow. But you see how, remember I told you everything's going to start to pop? Look at all the trees now are filling in. Look at my big oak tree. Sue planted that like 20 years ago. You see it? Everything you see back here, remember? It only takes a week and then bam. But look how beautiful that is, huh? And can you smell it? Can you smell it up here? Ah, it smells so good. Okay, let's get started mowing. And we're calling this project done. Let's get back home and get down to shop. You know, when I was upstate, I had a stop in shop right up there, pick up some supplies, and when I went in there, I noticed in the parking lot, I saw this color of a car. You know how I like candy apple red, right? And candy apple is hard to find today because it's almost like a two-coat process. I have to spray a base coat of silver and a clear coat of red until you get that deep luster. But Mazda has a paint out. I think it's a one-step paint, which means you don't have to do the base coat, clear coat. It's a one-step paint, and I think it's called Soul Red Premium Metallic or something. Look at this paint and tell me what you think. I mean, I won't really show up on the phone too much because it don't show colors, but this car was actually filthy dirty, but look at the luster and depth of this paint. Now, what's amazing is that paint is done completely by robot, and it comes out almost perfect. You have to see it. It's an amazing paint job they have. Anyway, let's get to today's project. Okay, for today's project, I thought we would just go try and tackle this. These are in rough shape. This is a WISS brand, okay, and these are Tailor Shears. And, you know, the Tailor Shears, they had different types here, but when you see this little nub on the bottom here, and you see this, the way the thumb grip here, you can see how it goes. They're strange scissors, and a couple people have mentioned to me that you know, used to deal with these. They remember these old type of scissors. Their grandparents had them or something like that. But a lot of times they would be on big tables, and a lot of times you didn't even have to use this cutting force. You would just, you know, put the material in here and run it across that way. But these were ground down in such a way. Obviously, there's many hours of use on these. They are super dull. In fact, so dull. Let me show you how they can. Now, here we have a piece of cardboard, probably the easiest thing to cut with any kind of shears. But I'm going to show you something here. Watch. You see what it's doing? It's not cutting, it's folding it because it's so dull. I can't get this to cut. Look, you know, it'll cut maybe at the very edge here. It'll take a little snip off, but over here you can even see there's a gap. You see the gap in the middle? Look at that gap, you know? So we're going to have to do something here, trying to get these to cut and also make them look decent. Now, they have these, a lot of these had these crazy big nuts, these tightening nuts on a lot of these Tailor Shears. I don't know why, and I don't even know if these are original to this, but I have a hex key here from an older set. It's a 9/16 size hex key, and I'll put it in here and see if we can't. It's tight. It's very tight, but it is spinning off, and I don't know how these really come apart, so let me just take it apart and see what happens. Okay, we have it apart here, and this is a very strange kind of fastener, but you could definitely see it was made for something like this. Whether or not it was original or not, but it definitely looks like it is, and I'll have to remember the washer stayed on this side here with the stud went on where it was printed WISS. So let's start cleaning these up, see what we can do with these. Now here we are at our post-wire brush evaluation. These scissors are pretty much unserviceable. They would have been considered worn out and discarded probably. That's why I got them such a good price. But I wanted them as kind of a wall hanger and also practice. If I can get these to cut again, that's good practice. Now, you could see here, remember we were seeing the cutting edge. This is absolutely dull. I mean, I could run my finger this way. You should never be able to do it. It is so dull, it's almost like it was polished. You know how I like to put a bevel? How I like to make my tools so soft that you couldn't cut nothing with that. I don't even think butter. So, but remember, this is a convex or concave area back here. So I went through this with my scissors sharpening. These don't get touched on the inside, just the edges. So you have the two edges coming in contact. So these have to be at an angle. This is flat, and that's a sharp angle, and then they should cut. But the other thing is, with all the pitting, tremendous amount of pitting on this entire thing, you know, if we can just get them to look somewhat decent, you know, I don't care. I'm not trying to preserve these because obviously they're worn out. You know, that WISS, there was another 1/4 of an inch of steel above that when they were new. However, they'll, you know, it's something to practice, so let's get to that. Okay, now we're ready to paint the handles. Everything's coming along nicely. Now, you know my favorite part. Remember what these shears look like before we started. And we're calling this project done. This one here, you know, scissors are such a different type of project to do. But let's take a look at what we did. Remember how pitted it was and everything. We took the pits off. We're able to keep the name. But, you know, we just wanted to get these into a using pair of scissors. And you can see we did. We brought back a nice shine. Again, you don't touch really up here. Both sides look really good, right? I mean, clean, smooth, no sharp edges. Everything is polished out. Handles came out just beautiful, almost like they were, you know, factory Japanning, but they just put an enamel paint on there. And if you listen to it, you could see that we have it. We sharpened it up pretty decent. So let's give it a cut test. Obviously, we'll start with the cardboard because that one here, you know, we couldn't get it to cut through before. But you could see here, you know, how sharp it cuts all the way through. And look at the cut here, the cut quality on here. You know, it's a very clean cut. So the cardboard it passes. Next we're on to the paper test. Now paper is harder to cut than cardboard, but here you could see here again it's a full length of the scissor we're cutting down. You could see the full length cuts down, and you could see it's a nice sharp cut on all the edges, so it passes the paper test. Next we have this is like a shop towel, a paper towel, and this is a little bit difficult to cut with a lot of scissors that aren't sharp. And you could see here it makes easy work of that, so it passes the shop towel test. Next up we have the material test. This is always the hardest. Here we have an old t-shirt, but this here, you could see here, look at that cut on there, that beautiful cut that it leaves without fraying. Again, we'll do it on this way so you can see it. The full length of the scissor it cuts, and you could see, look here. Look how nice that cut, how sharp that is. So it does a nice job in cutting material. You could see, again, no frays. And so, you know, we were able to save it. We took these, you know, inexpensive pair of Tailor Shears and brought them back to a usable condition. In closing, I was happy to get these Tailor Shears back into service because they were pretty rough shape. And again, you know, they do fetch a pretty penny when you look on eBay, things like that, especially for the older models. So it was nice to get that back in service. And I hope you have a great Memorial Day. Remember that Veterans Day is to remember the people who served. Memorial Day is more or less to remember people who have fallen. So keep that in mind. And thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you have a great holiday. Take care now. Bye-bye.